Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a really cool one because it's the first look that you guys are officially going to get at our backyard here. You guys are going to be amazed at the transformation that is about to take place here in this yard. We're going to do so much here, it's going to be a lot of fun. As you can see, we've got the first garden beds back here that I'm starting to build and put together for all of our veggie and herb crops. And I'm really excited for all of the different spaces that we have to grow, not only our herbs and vegetables, but also our perennial vegetables, and then our willow trees and elderberry trees, and then fruit trees that are coming in the future as well. This yard was nothing but a blank slate. I'm going to show you guys everything that we've done so far. Stay tuned, it's going to be a lot of fun. So first off, we have all of these raised garden beds that I've built so far. We plan on putting 12 of them in total. Right now we have 7. What I'm going to do is carry on forward with, I'm going to have 1 more of these full-size garden beds here, and then 2 more over here. And then what I plan on doing is putting a half-size garden bed. So instead of the 4x8, it's going to be a 2x8 next to this last row. And what that is going to provide me with is a place to add in a trellis with a cattle panel on this side of the garden. If you are wondering about what our orientation is, the way my rows are, so this way is actually east. This way towards me is west. That way, with our rows, we have a perfect grazing of the sun that comes across my rows and provides equal light to all of those rows compared to any other orientation. So if you're looking at my rows, how they're going to be planted, they're going to be planted this way, north to south. That way they don't get any shading compared to the rest of the crops of the same vegetable. So each one of the rows per vegetable will have the same. So my row of onions will have the same sunlight. My row of tomatoes will have the same sunlight. And then I can also work into lower light requirement plants and vegetables over on this side of the garden because they get some nice morning shade from this arborvitae over here. So more shaded vegetables over here, and then as we get over to this west side, that's where we're going to have the high light requirement plants. And then again, as I said before, all the way back on the north side there is going to be where we're putting the cattle panels for the trellises. That way, the cattle panels and the trellises, as they grow for our cucumbers, beans, peas, any of those climbing varieties that we might be growing, they're not going to cast any shade on any of the garden that we don't want. So a recap, we got 2 more beds here, 1 more bed there, and then all these half-size beds here. I think that's going to be enough for these raised garden beds. What I made these out of, I will have a video in the future detailing it, but it's just basic white wood construction grade studs. 2x6s. I went with 2x6s because I found that the 2x12s actually end up with more tension because they are a wider diameter compared to these 2x6s. So there's a lot more cross torsion and tension on that compared to these 2x6s. So I'm going to get some L brackets in here. I do have this center portion as really the stability holding these pieces together. See, I have them joined together on the side, and then I have this landscaping timber in the center also providing structural support. Then I'm going to put L brackets in. And I've also cut out some pieces of these 2x6s that are going to slap right on the inside here, keeping them from bowing. So chances are the wood is not going to bow in the same direction on both sides. And that way, by putting one of these pieces right here in the middle, that's going to kind of equalize them out and make sure that we don't have any extreme bowing where we're going to start losing some moisture in the garden beds. That's what you're really fighting for when you have 2 pieces like this, is you don't want them bowing way out. And so that's a really, really quick and easy solution for that. I think they're going to be incredible. Cedar beds are actually 12 times more expensive to build than these cheap whitewood stud beds, and they really only last 2 to 3 times as long as you build them correctly. So that's why I went with these whitewood stud pine raised garden beds. They've got so much more value for what they cost you in the long run. The debt to reward ratio with them is a lot higher compared to cedar. That's why I went with this. So we've got a bunch of our houseplants out here right now as we're moving everything indoors. Some of them are doing pretty rough, but again, I am focusing majorly on food crops at this point. And then we had the whole house renovation, ton of stuff going in there, as you guys know. So houseplants have kind of been put on the back burner. I can always buy more, but I am doing my best to take care of them. Our beautiful bed right here is still doing great. So I'm not going to talk about them much more though. I will show you guys some of what we're doing over here. Oops, this guy tipped over. Not doing too hot. He needs a watering. We've got a couple of our elderberry here, then our curly willow, weeping willow, and then on the end here, these are the willows that are for basket weaving, Salix purpurea. And what we're going to be doing is planting some of these elderberries over here. And then I'm going to make 2 rows of willow trees. So it's going to be weeping willows, curly willows, and then the basket weaving willows for cuttings. I plan on selling those cuttings in the near future here. So I'm going to start growing those. And then I'm going to have some willow trees. I've got a few planted, but the rabbits took some down right there. That one, the rabbits almost ate completely off, but you can get the idea. We've got 4 willow trees growing right there. And those ones I will train and kind of create like a smaller bonsai type. If you keep your willow trees cut down and nice and small, they kind of grow into cool little trees. They don't have to be massive plants. You just got to prune them back hard every year. So we got those 2 rows of willow trees, elderberries, and then we plan on putting a pear tree, and then probably a couple of apple trees, and maybe some other things like gooseberries or some more rare varieties of plants that a lot of people don't have in their gardens. Again, being in Wisconsin here, it's kind of hard because we can't grow everything that I want to, but this is going to be our whole fruit area section. We've got about 25 feet by 100 feet to grow all of these plants in here in our fruit trees, and it gets a lot of sunlight except for the shade by our walnut tree up there. So they will be in great shape. It's a good spot to grow, and we've only got electrical lines coming from here, right where my finger is pointing, to this, which is where they had a giant lilac bush planted. So all of our digging is out of the way. You can see that line there. It goes straight to our service off the house. So we're clear to dig throughout all of this and get all of the trees planted that we want. Let's talk about what we've taken down in this backyard real quick, as I do plan on putting more stuff over on this side. This was a whole row of big overgrown arborvitaes. If you can see this path where nothing grew, it was like from all the way over to here to way over beyond this side. Here's our property line right there. These things were massively overgrown, casting a ton of shade all on this area for an extra maybe hour or so out of the day. And they were just taking up a ton of the yard. And as a lot of people know, a lot of stuff, it's the type of bacteria that actually grows under these arborvitaes and pine trees. The type of fungus is not really a beneficial one for most types of plants. That's why a lot of stuff doesn't grow around them. And I just really, really hate arborvitaes. So we've been working diligently to cut all of these out of here. You can see we've got a pile of logs, excuse me, there. And there's some of the shorter ones. And we got big, long ones all up over here. And we've been hauling giant piles right up along the road, and then they take it for brush collection every day, or once a week, sorry. And I've been doing that for the last 4 weeks straight, and we are almost done. The last ones I want to cut down are these ones right here in the corner. I want to leave the ones that are leaning. I'll show you these in a second. These ones that are leaning out like that because it tipped over at one point. These ones I'm going to leave because I think they're pretty cool and interesting, and my son loves to climb up these and play on them. So I'm going to obviously move those logs out of there and then keep those there. And we're going to work on the landscaping in this area too. All along this, it needs to be, we've got to grind down the stumps, replace all this stuff in here. We're going to mulch it, get this stuff growing again, bring back the good fungi that we want, and then think about what sort of plants we need in here. Landscaping wise, we are going to build a little patio deck area back off of this spot here. We are probably going to do either concrete, or it's going to be a wood deck raised up to the ground like that. We're not sure yet. We haven't decided. That's definitely going to be a later project. It's going to wrap around the house over here so we can get a nice grilling area and everything. It's a lot of work to be done. We already did a ton inside the house, but there's a lot more to do outside too. You might have noticed this pile of wood we've got here. These are fence pickets. Another big project that we're doing is the fencing around the yard. Because of the dogs and the kids and the videos, it's just so much easier. Really nice to have a fence here in the backyard. So that's going to be a big project that we have coming up. Lastly, I want to talk to you guys about the chickens and water collection. So right now we've got downspouts going from the gutters under the ground, and then they bring the water out. I don't know how far they actually go to. But what we're doing is we've got a large, I'm not sure what the size is, but I think it's over 200 gallons, probably like 250 gallon tote collector that we're going to be putting under there so we can water the gardens with that water, that rainwater that we collected. Now, there has been a lot of studies done showing that there's absolutely no impact that the roof has and the shingles in your water. I know some people are worried about that, but I've been doing a lot of studies and looking a lot into it, and almost all of the studies show no impact whatsoever on the water compared to just what it collects falling out of the sky. So no effect on the water from being collected from your roof, and then I can use that in all of our garden beds as a renewable resource instead of it just going into the ground. And then we want to put chickens back here somewhere. I don't know if we're going to build a little coop in this corner. I think would be the best spot, and have some sort of a chicken run throughout the garden and everything. But again, there's just so many projects happening here in the garden. I'm super, super excited. I can't wait to show you guys all of these projects as we complete them. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you found today's video entertaining. Thank you all for sticking around throughout our home renovation where we weren't posting a lot of videos. We're definitely going to get back to that more in the future here. I'm super, super excited for all these projects. I hope your guys' gardens are doing well. I hope you're having fun out there. I hope you're experimenting and growing with your plants. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next episode.